What's going on, my people? P.Busy Law. For those of you that don't know, I'm the CEO of Very Important Plans, founder of Productively Busy Media, aspiring author of the 5-year sentence, which is a book basically where I'm documenting my next 5 years. Started about 6 months ago, so I've got like 4.5 years to go. Just documenting where I was when I started it to where I'm going to be in 5 years, and in 5 years time compile it all into a book. Obviously people would have seen a documentation of the ups and downs that I've had to go through and whatnot, and what books have helped me, what mindset I've had to create to get to that next level and stuff like that. So I'm going to literally compile all that real life activity that I've gone through into a book and called it the 5-year sentence. So yeah, and on top of all that, I'm probably one of your favorite rapper, but that's another rhyme for another time. Listen, what I want to do today is a book review, my first ever book review. I've read quite a few books so far in order over the last, say, 10-11 years, in order. First book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. The second book was The Secret Power by Rhonda Byrne, and after that was The Richest Man in Babylon. Then I read Think and Grow Rich, and I read The Power of Now, and now I'm up to Chimp Paradox. So I will do reviews on them other books that I've read before. Well, the more recent ones was things like Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'll have to read that again to be able to give a proper review on it, even though a few teachings have stuck with me. But yeah, so in a nutshell, the Chimp Paradox is basically pushing a narrative of we've got a chimp in our mind, we've got a human in our mind, and we've got a computer in our mind. The chimp deals with the emotional side of things, and the human deals with the logical side of things, and a computer registers information from both the chimp and the human. Now, it says that the chimp is stronger than the human, but we're the human. It's the human that we need to be in control. But where the chimp's a lot stronger than the human, we need to learn how to nurture it instead of being at war with it. So if you think of it like this, when we're in love, we do some stupid things. You do stupid things when you're in love. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of relationships and whatnot right now, but we do stupid things when we're in love, and that's because that emotional side of things overrides the logical side of things. So that's just an example of how the chimp is stronger than the human. And one more example is like we might have addictions. We can't just click our fingers and get rid of an addiction, because the emotional side of us won't let us just put it down just like that. So yeah, with regards to the chimp and the human putting information into the computer now, if you've lived a life, if you haven't been taught these certain things from a child, like emotional intelligence, then we're going to go through life letting the chimp take over, letting the chimp be in control. So therefore, a lot of emotional information gets put into the brain, into the computer, and we will use that to deal with situations that come up like this again. So it might scare us because of it. We've been through it before, and that's the chimp getting scared, because the human says you could study or you can do whatever it takes to make you not have the same outcome. And so the human deals with all the logic and finding that balance, and how to nurture the chimp instead of beef it is what the book's mainly about. So it teaches us how the mind works, how to understand our emotions and our thoughts, and just manage ourselves and become better people in life and become who we want to become. So how this book basically related to my journey is, for years I've let emotions take over how I feel, even in a sense of when I'm really chasing my dreams and really trying to be successful in life. This broke down the difference between motivation and commitment, and what I'm taking from the book. Because I'm not reading through the book as we're talking, as I'm doing this, and just I'm giving you exactly what I've taken from the book. I like to read books twice, and I could do a much better review on this book after I've read it twice, because it's just like a movie. You notice things that you didn't notice before, and things start to make a lot more sense to you. So it broke down the difference between motivation and commitment. Now, the motivation comes from the chimp. Little did I know myself, but little did we know, motivation comes from the chimp, because imagine you're suffering. You need to the motivation is getting out of that suffering. Yeah, but remember, we could be so motivated and do all these things and be doing them wrong, and be allowing the chimp to take over I really want this that bad, and putting a lot of pressure on ourselves that we can burn ourselves out, and then we end up going round in a circle, and then all of a sudden 6 years is down the line, we're still suffering and we haven't got out of that rut completely. So it breaks down the difference between motivation and commitment, because it's the commitment that we have to get unlocked, and the commitment comes from our human mind, us, the logical way that we think. So learning how to be committed is a major key. So it basically teaches us that as well. It's helped me understand other people and how they move a lot better as well. I won't allow someone else's chimp knowing that they're acting off of their emotional side of them to really get into my inner peace. And I say inner peace as well, but this book here, the concept of it reminds me a bit of Power of Now, just how it explains things. And from what people have told me about the inner child, this is something else that I want to tap into and read, because I like these sort of concepts. But this book here takes all sorts of spiritual teachings away from the power of now and whatnot. Nothing will ever stop me from being as spiritual as I am, but it was refreshing to read through a book that's not just mad spiritual. It broke it down into layman's terms without me thinking about the whole spiritual realm of everything. It just broke it right down into layman's terms, and I felt like I've actually needed that. And now what stands out about this book is just the straightforwardness of it. It's got suggested exercises at the end of every chapter. Now, I never done any of these suggested exercises, but it's a thing where I've finished the book now, so when I can literally go back to the book now and start going through the extended exercises that you need to do, the suggested exercises that you need to do. For example, it's just at the end of every chapter like that, in a box like that. And yeah, so where I've read through the book now, each exercise that I go to, I will now have more of an understanding of how it's supposed to work, because I've got to the end of the book and it's got a lot of information crammed in 340 pages. Near enough. 331 pages. So yeah, a lot of information is crammed into that. So now that I've got through all of it, and I go back to the first chapter and there's an exercise in that, I've got so much information crammed in my head from this book. That's not something that I could just off-reel all of it right now, because my mind doesn't personally work like that, and I'm not about to force myself for the chimp to make me start sweating my face off and worrying about how I look on this video. But what I'm saying to you is, this book basically simplifies how to take full control of your mind. And I say it about all books after I've just read them, but this is definitely up there with one of the best books. I'd definitely give it like 5 out of 5. Like, it gets 5 stars. Like, it really has humbled me. Like, it helped me to. I've always had a vision board, always had a couple vision boards, but they've not had the right things on them, and this has actually given me ideas of how I could structure my vision board and how I could work towards things, without using any emotional side of it, or balancing it, finding a balance, because the chimp isn't a bad. It says the chimp isn't bad, it's just a chimp. And another thing that it says as well, because I like to step out of my house and conduct myself with manners and morals and whatnot. Now, you'll have people that are out there that are just rude to people and whatnot, and it says, like, cool, if you're human that's supposed to be taking care of your chimp, cool, you go to the park now and you've got your dog, and your dog comes off of the lead and it goes and bites 5 kids. What are you gonna say? Sorry, it's the dog's fault. People are gonna come straight to you because that's your dog. So it's the same with the chimp. Like, you can let your chimp run riot and be out there being rude to people and letting little things affect you and letting other people or your surroundings affect you. But this book will definitely humble you when it comes to all of that. And yeah, I must say, very good read. The next book that I'm reading now is Ask and It's Given. Some of you probably heard about it. I started reading it a few years ago, but never finished. I wasn't in the right place in life to read through whole books at that time. So yeah, that's a very spiritual book, because I wanted to get back that whole law of attraction feeling inside me. Because sometimes you could feel like something 1 week or 1 year, and a lot of things will happen. You allow different people into your life that's got different views on things and stuff like that, and if you allow your chimp to take over left, right and center, then you'll be kind of accepting a different mindset, just to not. Some people would be to fit in, but for me personally, I would dumb down what I'm about around certain people. And if you're around people too much and have to do that too much, you're actually going to dumb yourself down. So yeah, it's been my first ever book review. The next one's going to be a lot more structured, but I just want to be bombarding everyone with content now, because I think it's time I start speaking up. It's very peak times that we're living in, and a lot of people are going to have to learn how to put their emotions down and think with logic and really dig deep inside themselves, because we don't know what life's going to be like in the next 5 years. So as you see my documentation of the 5-year sentence, you'll see how I've been dealing with it and the tools that I guard myself with to basically get through these things. It says, like, if you was about to chop down a tree and you had 8 hours to chop down a tree, spend 6 hours sharpening that to that cutter or whatever it said. I don't remember things word for word, but I take the energy that they've given me. I endorse things into my life. So yeah, as I say, first ever book review. I feel like I gave it my best, so it can only get better. And that's what it says as well. Like, you can only give something up. You can't do better than your best, but you've always got a second chance. So you can look back at things and think, okay, how could I do it better? And straight confidence. It's a confidence hack. But yeah, I'm busy. Productively busy media.